is the mounting speculation over the political future of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, whether he will once again join Nigeria's presidential race in 2027 or not. But unlike some of his contemporaries, the Waziri Adama has remained cautious, carefully avoiding any definitive statement about his intentions. Now, while some leaders in the African Democratic Congress or ADC coalition, such as Labour Party's 2023 candidates Peter Obi and former Rivers State Governor Rotimi Amechi have openly indicated interest in contesting, even pledging to serve only a single term under a north-south zoning arrangement, Atiku Abubakar has yet to commit himself. Now, Atiku's loud silence has unsettled some coalition members who have alleged that the alliance was engineered to pave the way for an Atiku presidency. The ADC leadership has denied such claims, insisting that all aspirants will be treated equally in the race for its ticket. The speculation about Atiku intensified after some reports quoted him during his interview with the BBC Hausa, suggesting he had declared intention to support a younger candidate, thereby ruling himself out of the race. Now, the interpretation caused a stir across political circles, with many reading it as a signal that Atiku might finally be stepping aside. But he quickly dismissed the reports, saying he was misquoted. And a major factor remains that Atiku is yet to officially register as a member of the African Democratic Congress after his resignation from the PDP. Now, the Adamawa State chapter has asked him to officially register or stop associating himself with the political party. So glad to have joining me now in the studio by the Special Advisor of Media to Atiku Abubakar, Paul Ibe. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to ask you one very troubling question that an analyst and myself were having a conversation about. And we said that why does Atiku look like the biggest elephant in the room ahead of 2027? The presidency is carefully watching him. Other opposition politicians are also watching him. Whatever Atiku decides to do ahead of 2027 may actually be the game changer ahead of the elections. What exactly is going on, and why is Atiku yet to register in the ADC officially?
You know, all of the calculations of the Tinubu administration is geared towards disinformation, propaganda against, the former vice president. And like you alluded to, the reason is obvious. So the question is, why are they afraid of Atiku Abubakar? They're afraid of him because of the, of what he's bringing on the table, the capacity that he has, the experience, the skills, the set skills, and the fact that he is one Nigerian who breathes, eats, lives. Nigeria is in his DNA, and he treats people with respect, and he attracts the brightest of minds. He doesn't care where you come from, your mode of worship, and all of that. And these are all of the things that he's going to be bringing, to bear on, if he elects, to run. And there's no doubt about it. All of the efforts to decimate the opposition, parties, and now the ADC, is because the Tinubu administration recognizes, that on the strength, on the merit of their scorecard, they have nothing to offer, Nigeria. I mean, Dr. Yemi, Kale, who until when he was sacked, because he wasn't giving them the stats that they wanted, now we're having a GDP that is growing, faster than, economies that are supposed to be, stronger and robust, and sex-top stats.
You think it's a paper growth?
Sorry?
I say you think it's a paper growth?
They are sex-top figures.
Well, I mean, interesting. You would have heard one of the economic advisors saying that the economy is actually doing very well, and Tinubu is getting international recognition for some of the magic that he's doing within that sector. The
economy will be doing very well for the urban bandits, and those that are associated, with them. They are not in the, they're in the micro minority. For the majority of ordinary Nigerians, the economy is strangulating, and it's never been this bad. So, I keep saying it, that what they thought worked in Lagos, and I don't even know what it is that worked in Lagos, about Tinubu, the famed building, he built Lagos and the rest of it, it can't work. It can't work elsewhere. The dynamics are different. It can't work in Sokoto. It can't work in Borno. It can't work in, in Kebbi. It can't work in Imo State, where I come from. Not even in Osun, even in Irabuji, where he comes from. So that model cannot work.
And that's what I was telling his advisor here earlier, because you go to some supermarkets, some of the shelves are actually just, thinning out. I mean, it's just becoming empty gradually. But well, they said, it's the bigger sectors that they are recording growth, and it's just with time before it trickles down.
I was, in one of those outlets, the biggest of the ShopRite group. I was there for 5 minutes. Somna. I saw less than 6 people, less than half a dozen.
Well, they say it's just, gradually between now and 2027, things will pick up at the down sector. I mean, so things are happening up there and they'll trickle down.
So all of the calculations is political. It's towards 2027. I mean, if that's what they are saying, what about now? The people that are going to be voting in 2027, are they going to be dead men? Dead men walking? Why are they waiting till 2027? It shows clearly that some of these policies are not well thought through.
And you think that Atiku Abubakar has a better option? What are the sort of things that he could do if, for example, he does get maybe an ADC ticket and all of that, and maybe wins?
We have seen Atiku Abubakar. He's an open book. Unlike some of these people that we don't even know their background, where they are coming from. We don't know their family. We've seen him. The man has capacity. He's done well both, in the private, in the public sector, in the private sector. He built Index, the biggest, oil and gas logistics, company that, delivered a lot of dividends to, investors.
People say Tinubu has done a whole lot of that too. He owns several companies.
I don't know what he did. I don't know what he did. But we can see that what Atiku Abubakar did in the private sector rubbed off on the public sector when President Obasanjo tapped him to be former vice president. In one of the years, they had 15% GDP growth. That was GDP when it was GDP, not the sexed up figures that we're getting now. And an average of about 7%. Jobs were created. The country was stable. They adopted a government of national unity. Even the AD and all of the parties that were their opponents were invited into government. It was a strategy. It worked. So that all of the skirmishes, all of the crises that are attended, prior to the election, because of the military dictatorship that we had for several years, everywhere calmed, down, and that paved the way for the growth and the development, that we've had. And that followed also with other years of the PDP, administration, Jonathan and the rest of them. We are number 1 on the African continent. Where are we now? I think we are number 4 or thereabout. So I don't understand what they're talking about.
All right, now let's talk about ahead of 2027. Is Atiku Abubakar worried about the presumed entrance of former President Goodluck Jonathan to the race? You would have had a response from the presidency. I was thinking maybe your team, yourself and the vice president, maybe you were going to put together a piece, either to welcome him or lambast him like the presidency did. How much of a competition would Jonathan be if Atiku does decide to contest?
The nature of democracy is about people making choices. And people should be allowed to make choices. The choice you make may be different from mine. But ultimately, there needs to be a level playing field. Atiku Abubakar welcomes any, competition. Because, you see, Nigeria is at crossroads. Like I told you, it's never been this bad. So we need all hands, on deck. So anyone that has something to offer, is free to make themselves available for consideration by Nigerians. But of course, the APC is scared of that, all of that. And so what they have adopted as a state policy is to decimate, all opposition parties, Labour, PDP. Now they are focused on, ADC because of the fact. But they just got, the wrong customers because, the folks in ADC know exactly, they know where their, the skeletons, are buried.
Yeah. Okay, so why is Atiku, unwilling to actually register? You would have heard the Adamawa State chapter saying that, look, you can't continue to operate from outside. While other people are saying that every structure that has been put in place was put in place for an Atiku Abubakar, and that's why Peter Obi is scared of coming and all of that. So at what point in time is Atiku declaring to be a member of the ADC, and then his intention? You see him every day.
Let me disabuse the minds of Nigerians, especially members of the ADC. the ADC was not a vehicle that was put up for Atiku. No, the ADC was a response to the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians. It was clear that the way things were going, there was no window for opposition. And Nigerians were sick and tired of the strangulation, of the fact that life is not getting any better for them. And so that was what led to the ADC. And so it was not a vehicle for Atiku's presidency. No, that is not what it is. And even though Atiku himself has given an indication that he will run, he will run for election. But he doesn't want that to distract from the major job. Yeah,
but Nigeria doesn't have place for independent candidacy. So, and Atiku Abubakar right now officially is partyless.
When Atiku Abubakar resigned from the PDP, Atiku Abubakar aligned with the ADC.
He aligned, but he's yet to
Atiku Abubakar has attended every meeting of the stakeholders. He has invested physically, materially, spiritually. I mean, his body and his soul is with the ADC.
But that doesn't make him a member until he's able
to listen. You see, people are interested in, I used an analogy the other day, when you're giving out your daughter for a wedding, the most important, aspect of that is the ceremony that goes on in the church. But a lot of folks would rather go to the reception ground to wait for the party.
Mm-hmm.
You see, there's a whole lot going on, and Atiku Abubakar is at the center of it.
Okay.
Let's start with Adamawa. There needs to be structures in place, offices. There needs to be a mobilization of the people. You need to prepare and all of that. If you're putting up a building, you start with digging the foundation, and then you begin to put up, the pillars that will carry the building and the rest of them. No matter how beautiful that house is, if the foundation is not strong, it will collapse.
All right, I'm very sure he's trying to learn his lessons from what's going on in PDP. And people keep saying that, Atiku Abubakar seems to be too old to contest in 2027. The younger ones are looking towards him, maybe endorsing one of them. And you would have heard about that report that was done with the foreign broadcaster. And, some people got excited that Atiku is not going to be in the race and all of that. What did Atiku Abubakar forget in the presidential villa that he wants to go back to pick? That's what they're asking.
As a journalist on sabbatical, I was not excited about that because it's disingenuous for anybody to take what a man has said. I mean, when a man says white and then you're reporting black, totally different. That was irresponsible, of those. Unfortunately, the media has also become, biased, and so the reporting is also biased.
That should be a section of the media, actually, or social media.
That should not have been the case, because we saw. If they listened to the people that were reporting, obviously have people who can listen to the original also, and look at it. There was no reference, to what was said, but because people are trying to make a case, they probably have sympathies on it. But we don't have to do that. We must be able to give everybody an opportunity, and all of that. Those who are saying that Atiku Abubakar is, too old, probably ask them, how old is Donald Trump? He's running America. Our democracy, the presidential government that we're running, is styled after that of, that of America, the United States. And Donald Trump is doing fantastically well. So what has age got to do with it? Who is afraid, for Atiku Abubakar? It's not about the age. It's about the fact that they know that he's going to turn things around. And they know that they don't want to have a competition with him, that they're going to lose, that election. That's what it is all about.
So who's afraid of Atiku Abubakar?
You need to ask them.
Well, we just got someone elected who got elected at age 85 in Malawi, Lazarus Chakwera. Is that some sort of influence on Atiku Abubakar that's making him to say, look, I can still do it. I can still do it. If an 85-year-old can come back as president of Malawi, I can do it. Are those some of the people who are inspiring him?
No, that's mischief, stretching mischief to a ridiculous level. Atiku Abubakar has been inspired by the opportunities that he has gotten as a Nigerian, as a young man in Jeddah, and with poor parents, and even having lost his father and at a very tender age, had to go to school. And after that, he started working in the public service, in customs specifically, and he had given himself a target that after a certain age, if he doesn't rise to the highest level of this, he was going to leave. And then he left, and he set up his business. He started small, and he grew, and before the advent of democracy in 1999, Atiku Abubakar was already a billionaire. He had made so much money.
Yeah.
So for those who are insinuating that the money that he made was from his 8 years as vice president, hell no, that's not what it is. He had made money. Intel was making money because he saw the opportunity and he took it. So that is his inspiration. He wants to give back. He has said it.
All right. As we try to round off this conversation, I want to take you into, the future. I mean, not like a clairvoyant, but let's just assume Atiku Abubakar participates in the ADC primaries and he loses. Do you think that he will remain to support whoever wins the ADC presidential primaries?
Whatever I'm telling you now, it matters less because he himself had said it. In the interview,
it's the believability of it. A whole lot of people just think it's part of the things that are contributing to people doubting some of the statements.
He has said it, and he meant it before he said it. He will support whoever it is. But the question is, why are other people afraid of having a contest? That's it.
Yeah, because we keep hearing that other presidential aspirants are afraid of Atiku Abubakar, and then the presidency is also Tinubu sort of afraid of an Atiku Abubakar entering the race, because if he does enter into the race, it will break the North-South zoning system. Don't you think Atiku should be statesman enough to be able to respect that arrangement?
North-South zoning system that has been implemented in breach.
Let's explain to us very quickly.
Let's be honest with ourselves. By 2027, do the maths. 8 years of Obasanjo, 4 years of Tinubu, that's 12 years. And then 6 years of Jonathan, that's 18 years. 1999 till now, that's how many years of democratic rule?
25,
that's 25 years. So 18 versus what?
Crazy. 7 years difference.
You must listen. 18 versus versus 7.
So,
and you are talking about equity. Where lies the equity? In that people must be very, careful how they try to spin.
All right, but we all wait and see. We just
by the way,
situation where,
by the way,
yeah,
the internal poll that we had clearly that is driving at this thing, Nigerians don't care where their president comes from, because they all go to the same market.
All right,
and the prices are the same.
All right,
they want somebody that will secure their lives and make life better for them.
All right, interesting perspective, but I hope you also know that the North overall from 1960 has governed Nigeria more than the South, and there's also a call for justice from that perspective too.
There are consequences of there are consequences
including military
government.
Yeah,
when you organize a coup.
Yeah.
So the question you ask is, why didn't the other folks go and organize a coup?
Well, interesting perspective. Most thank you so much, Paul. Ibe is a special advisor on media to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, one of Nigeria's longest-standing presidential contenders, and people call him the perennial presidential aspirant aspirant and candidate. I just hope that he's able to make something.
Only a man who feels that he has something to offer will keep going, on and on. His resilience is also something that, is worthy. I mean, political scientists need to study that.
All right.
There's a lesson to be learned from that.
All right. Well, that's the much we can take on this edition of This Week. Thanks to our production team here in Abuja, Lagos, and London. Do join us same time next week for another exciting edition. I'm Somna Sambu.